be clever enough to add a theme song, did you? Anyways, welcome to $0 Productions show. Title pending. Great. Okay, now we've got that out of the way. Today is apparently Batman week. I'm not sure how one day is an entire week, but Batman is just that awesome. So I got my Batman cup and my crazy weird Batman hat to apparently celebrate with Batman's favorite drink, Icelandic vodka. It's probably Batman's favorite drink. Anyways, this is a good one if you haven't tried it. It's called Reka. It's an Icelandic vodka filtered through lava rocks, which probably is just as effective as filtering it through anything else, but it sounds really manly. So anyways, let's have some Reka. Yay! Nazdrovia, as they say somewhere. That's Polish for slancha, which I believe is Irish for kampai. Drink! Anyways, today's list is the top 5 Batmans of all time, which is basically me opinionating my favorite Batman interpretations by the actors and giving no credit whatsoever to the directors or writers or anything of that nature, because apparently I don't care about that, because the actor is the only guy that, you know, I remember the name of, for the most part. I'm actually enough of a nerd to where I remember some of the directors, some of the writers here and there, but that's not the point. The point is, it's time for Batmans. And number 5 is... That's right, Adam West. Adam West is a hilarious Batman. I know his writing is just so bad, but you can't help but love it because it's so bad. That's one of my favorite kinds of film, is the kind that's just no good, and it's funny for that reason. And occasionally it's actually funny on its own right. Not all the time. Anyways, I think there's something to a more silly Batman. I think a lot of kids these days don't really like Batman from the 60s because, you know, they grew up with Christian Bale and, you know, that kind of thing, and all the comics now are, like, way darker, and it's kind of a totally different thing, which is also great in its own right, but I think there's a place for silly Batman, and I think that he is the best silly Batman. Maybe. Unless we move on to number 4, which is Schwarzenegger as Freeze. You know where this is going. Oh, the ridiculous Freeze puns. Number 4 is, of course, George Clooney, who I'm sure shows up in this trailer at some point. Yeah, and that's happening. I forgot Uma Thurman was in that movie. Anyways, this is kind of the same vein of silly Batman. I mean, come on, bat nipples. You gotta give him bat nipples. Bat nipples automatically makes him more entertaining to watch than Adam West, in my opinion. I don't know. The writing was kind of better, but it was still kind of bad. So I don't know. I feel like they were almost going for the bad Batman feel, but at the same time they had a team of okay writers, is what I think happened there. And that's just kind of how it works. So the scripting was a little better. I still think this was a little bit of a kid's movie. It wasn't necessarily targeted toward the hardcore Batman fans of today, because who knew that people would get as hardcore Batman fan of today have gotten? I don't think anybody really saw that coming, so there's not really a good way to compensate for it. Also, I'm sure it's also somewhere in this movie, but his Batmobile is fantastic. I'm not sure what's going on because I haven't seen this movie in a while and the sound is off. But anyways, he's got the coolest Batmobile like ever. That big blue glowing thing under the hood. Like, I don't know what that is, but it looks awesome. I want one. Gonna go on to number 3, right here. Christian Bale. That's not a picture of Christian Bale. It would have been really awesome if I had timed that well, but I'm not actually editing this video. This is actually live footage of my computer. One of the reasons this was the best was actually not because of him, but because of him. Heath Ledger was fantastic as the Joker, and that is such a way to go out in an acting career as to be the Joker. That's like the capstone achievement of his career, in my opinion. And that being his last film, there's just something amazing about that. To see where he kind of started and see him through a lot of films throughout the years and finishing it off with that. It does suck that he died so young, because I think he could have gone to even bigger and better things, but I think that would have been a place where most actors would have been happy to end their career on such a high note. Anyways, going back to Christian Bale as Batman, like I said before, he's just kind of the darker Batman. He's kind of the Batman that we all are more used to today. We don't get a lot of the silly Batman anymore. You know? It's all, like, dark and brooding and I'm Batman and that kind of thing. Which is okay. That's also a really great thing. But it's very, very different from what Batman has been in the past. And I like it. I like every kind of Batman. No matter what's happening, I just like Batman. I'm a nerd like that. And Christian Bale really does the dark Batman justice. Get it? Because he's a protector of justice. He's with the Justice League. Alright, bad pun. I'm pretty sure that means we have to drink. Sweet, the Dark Knight. Overall, this was just the most epic series of Batman films that there's ever been. It's, you know, it started with The Dark Knight, and then, or no, I'm sorry, it started with Batman Begins, and then Dark Knight, and The Dark Knight Rises, obviously, and that trilogy is really just the most spectacular trilogy of Batman films that we've ever seen, and that I think we will ever see for a while. You know, I liked Batman versus Superman okay, but I know everybody's gonna, you know, give me flack about that. I've already heard it, so, but please leave your comments if you think I'm a nincompoop for liking Batman versus Superman okay. You know, it wasn't as good, obviously, but, you know, it had its merits and its flaws, and I don't think it was the Batman movie that we deserved, but it was the Batman movie that we needed. Ha! I put a Batman reference in a video about Batmans. Drink. Ah, I dropped the card. Drink. That means I have to drink twice. So, I'm going to move on to number 2. Batman number 2 is Will Friedle, which is the voice actor who played Terry McGinnis, which is not your regular Batman, as you might obviously notice from, you know, being Batman Beyond. But Batman Beyond was a really cool direction for the series to take after the animated series. It was really set apart from every other Batman thing because it's an entirely different cast of characters. It's Batman in a world that almost has been failed to be saved by the original Batman. You know, not necessarily completely failed, because obviously if he wasn't there, it'd probably be a lot worse, and, you know, probably the whole world would have been took over by Batman, because, you know, the whole Justice League and stuff was canon in this, I believe. I don't know, it's been a while since I actually watched it, but this was also kind of my childhood. You know, I grew up going from Batman the Animated Series and then into this as like a direct sequel series kind of thing. And that was really cool the way that they did that. This was my favorite story arc of any superhero series where that superhero passes on their mantle to a new generation. I don't think that's ever been done nearly as well as this, because Bruce Wayne didn't really want to pass on the mantle, but after the events of basically the first episode, he thought, you know what? It's not a bad idea. It's time, I guess, Gotham actually needs this to continue. And passed on the mantle, and there we go. We have a great series. I want them to make this into a new live-action movie, and, you know, probably put Joseph Gordon-Levitt in it, because he's in everything these days, and he's like a hunk. Yeah. Gonna check out number 1 now. Finally, the best Batman of all time. We've got Kevin Conroy. That's not him, that's Jim Gordon. There we go, there we go. Yeah. Yeah. That's how Batman. That is how Batman. Kevin Conroy was a great Batman for just so many reasons. In addition to this series making way for Batman Beyond to exist at all, it was just such a great series. It meshed really well the dark Batman and the kind of lighthearted Batman. Because it was still a kids' show made in the 90s, but I think they pushed the envelope a little bit of what could be put into a kids' show. Because this was the only kids' show that I watched growing up where, you know, characters actually died and you had almost a sense of morality in what was going on. This kind of was an interesting series for me, because this was the first time I really kind of thought about superheroes from a vigilante standpoint rather than they're superheroes. They always do what's right. But Batman in this show was often, you know, chased by the cops and things, which isn't something that comes up as much in a lot of cartoons from that generation, I think. I think most of them were just like, oh yeah, there's Superman, let's just let him do his thing. Oh yeah, there's Spider-Man, he's not bad. Everybody loves him except for, you know, Jameson. Jameson sounds like a drink. It's not this drink, but I'll drink anyway. But anyway, it sort of stirred that emotion in me and kind of got me to think, is vigilante justice really the correct thing to do, you know? Shouldn't you just let the legal system take care of it? And most of the time I think that's right, but I think the idea of superheroes is that sometimes the law can't quite reach that. And I'm sure all of us have thought about becoming a vigilante for some reason or another, you know, just put on a mask and go beat up bad guys. But, you know, none of us ever did, as far as I know. But, you know, this was a really thought-provoking series for me as a child. And now going back and watching it, it's still great. It still kind of raises some of those questions. And not only that, but Kevin Conroy, I said, was the best Batman. I didn't say Batman the Animated Series Batman, because he's so many Batmans. He's Batman the Animated Series, plus he's the new Arkham video games, are all voiced by Kevin Conroy, and Mark Hamill as the Joker, who's also my favorite Joker, but that's not the point. Getting lost in my train of thought, so drink. But also he was in the Justice League series of cartoons, and most recently he was in the new film adaptation of The Killing Joke, which was really great. If you haven't had a chance to see that, I would definitely check it out, and read the comic books too. It's kind of weird, it got an R rating, but watching it, it's like, they don't really show anything. So, I mean, I would have rated it PG-13. But it's a fantastic film. I would watch it even if you don't like Batman. Because if you don't like Batman, you're probably a communist or something, and you should get out of my country. Although this is on the internet, so you could be watching from another country, in which case, stay there. Don't come to America. So that's it, guys. Hope you enjoyed my list of the top 5 Batmans this week. And next week will be a list of something entirely different. Now I'm going to do the credits. Thanks for watching, guys. Be sure to check me out on Facebook and look up my crappy website. And most importantly, would you please share and comment? Because I'd really like this thing to be more of a conversation than just me blabbing about stuff. Alright, thanks, guys.